Hey guys, Kil2 here. Got another solo commentary for you. I want to say real quick, this roam is unusual, and I hope you don't mind. I kind of want to share it from the perspective of this is why I love Eve rather than this is how to play Eve. There's not a whole lot of technical stuff in here. There's a couple things, but mostly I just had so much fun on this roam, and I just wanted to show you guys so that hopefully you get excited about roaming too. So to begin with, let me just say I wanted to go solo in a tornado. I would be excited if that was something I could do on a regular basis because just like the Talus, it's just so much fun to fly. So I set out towards Vale the Silent, and the roam picks up in the entry system in P3E, where I have warped the tornado across the system. And after I reach the outgate, because my route is set deeper into 0, and when I reach the outgate, local goes up by 1, which is most likely going to be the entry gate. So I hang on the outgate for a second and just watch my scanner to see what shows up. And what shows up is a Tyrannus. And this is kind of where I want to start talking about how much I love this game. A Tyrannus is obviously much cheaper than a tornado. It's like, costs, I don't know, a sixth the price of the tornado, and it takes way less skill points to fly effectively. In fact, I think a Tyrannus with very little skill points, like probably the minimums to fly a Tyrannus, should be able to beat any tornado if they both start right next to each other and kind of all the other variables are taken away. So that's a really cool to begin with, like David versus Goliath situation where you've got a guy in a tiny ship with no skill points and no money who can easily take out this 100 mil battle cruiser with 50 million skill points behind it. So that's awesome. But beyond that, what's really sweet is that actually can get turned on its head as well. So given everything starting at 0, I don't want to fight a Tyrannus in my tornado, but nothing has to start at 0. So what I do is the second he shows up on scan, I start burning off the gate. And I'm going to start the footage now because I put it to half speed since obviously it's a pretty fast fight. So I'm starting it now. And so I just start micro warping off the gate while he's on scan because I know for me to have any shot, I need to be able to track, and I'm only going to have one chance at that, which is while he's far away from me at the start of the fight. So I want to create distance. I'm assuming he's going to land at 0 on the gate, so I'm burning off. And then he doesn't land at 0, he lands at 300. He's got like a perch he can warp to on this gate, which is smart. Make sure he doesn't land in bubbles, which there is a bubble on this gate, and that would have helped me out a lot. But he warps to this tactical, and he sees me burning, not at 0, and in my opinion, rightfully warps down to the gate. And then this is a really intense part. This is why I want it to be half speed, because the fight starts with him about 35k away from me, which I think is about perfect, because it's close enough that he's sufficiently interested. He's going to actually try and come out to get me, but it's far enough that I have a shot at getting hits on him before he gets close. And it's really intense because if he gets close enough, I can't kill him. He just orbits and I lose. So now I'm locking. He's starting to burn. You see his speed's at 600 now, at 1500 now at 2000. And there's just this really small window. I overheat the top rack, and as it turns out, I didn't even know if the tornado would be able to do this or not, and it depends a bit on his angle, but there goes almost all of his HP, and you can see the cycle timer, and there goes the rest. So simple, but complicated. I mean, there's so much that goes into that. In the end, it's decisions that decide what happens in the fight more than it is like the on-paper version of the fight, which I just love, and I think that shows up consistently in Eve, and I just appreciate it so much. So I don't know if that's interesting, on its own, but hopefully the reason I'm interested in it is relevant to you guys. The Transpilot was a good sport too. He said, good fight in local, and it's funny how I'm not even sure who should be expected to win there. Like, does he feel like it was unfair, or should I feel like it was unfair? I don't really know. Anyway, so then the roam continues. I go drop his loot off, and then head back into P3 and then head back into Vale. And now I'm like 8 jumps ahead of where I was before, and I've kind of been, I don't know, just bouncing around in this region. I cut out a whole bunch of stuff in between. I tried to kill a comet that showed up in the same way I killed the Tyrannus, and he didn't want to chase me, so he ran away. I found a big gang in one system near a station, but I think they were in a pos. I didn't end up getting any kind of engagement with them, and I had seen a bunch of routing ships flying around. There was a Drake in the air in one system, and some Tengus going back and forth on gates that wouldn't engage me. And then this happened. I'm sitting on this gate, and there's a gate flash, and I kind of love this part of Eve 2, just sitting not knowing what's actually coming in. Like, I don't know if there's bad guys on the other side of the gate. I don't know what it is that's sitting next to me cloaked. I have no idea. But I load up the scram, the disruptor, and I'm basically prepared to engage whatever it is. And I'll go ahead and start the footage now. So I'm just sitting here, totally unsure of what has just jumped into me, and a Tengu decloaks. And, I have a split second to decide, do I want to engage the Tengu at close range like this? And I think, yes, sure. And by the time I've decided that, a Makariel decloaks. Well, that's obviously not good. But the first volley puts the Tengu halfway through shields, and there's actually only 20 seconds here between when the Tengu decloaks and when it dies. And then from the time the Tengu dies, there's only 10 seconds between that explosion and when I die. And that's a lot to be happening really fast. This is another thing I like about this game. People love to talk about how it's boring, how it's like slow, and we just had 800 million in stuff blow up in under 30 seconds. I'm stopping it now for a second, and that's just crazy. Like, put this on paper. Tengu Makari, like Faction Fit Tengu had like Photon Republic or whatever they're called, Kildare EV Photon Scattering Field. And boost amps and whatever. You can go find the mail if you want, but it's expensive Tengu. And assuming the Makariel has a pretty nice fit, put those on paper against my Tornado starting at 0, it's a joke. But, Tengu Pilot must have just not turned his tank on. I don't know why he turned his missiles on. Really bizarre. I'm going to play it again starting now in half speed, so I can talk a little bit about the decisions, even though it happened so fast that I didn't really get a chance to make decisions as well as I would have liked. So when he decloaks, like I said, I have just a second to decide if I'm engaging or not, and that usually is a pretty easy one for me. I am engaging. Because my initial assessment is based on the Tengu, there's no reason for me to move. I'm not going to limit the Tengu's damage by moving, I'm only going to limit my own. So I just want to sit still, get my DPS as high as absolutely possible, and hope to bust his tank. Now, when the Makariel comes in, it's like by the time I notice the Makariel, I notice the Tengu's going down super fast. So I'm kind of just in suicide mode, and I don't have time to realize that neither of them have a point on me. And so probably what I should have done is right now, when he's at about 0 armor, I should be aligning at low speed to warp out. And then right now I could be warping. Instead, after he dies, hit my micro warp because I still haven't noticed I'm not scrammed, and I'm thinking I need to burn out of scram range before I warp. And, maybe I'll blow, maybe the Makari won't be able to track me while I'm burning, but now I notice I can warp. I hit warp, and I die on the volley that my ship starts to enter warp, which is right there. And I think if I wouldn't have hit my micro warp drive, or if I would have started aligning before the Tengu died, I would have easily made it out. And then I would have, killed the Tengu in Tornado versus Tengu Makariel without even losing anything, which would have been even crazier. So bizarre, just super bizarre, and kind of another example of how you cannot look at the way these fights look on paper. I'm stopping that fight now. So that was enough for that seems like a crazy roam, right? I go out in a Tornado and all these, 2 cool fights happen. Good enough. No, Eve can do better. So on my way out, you can see in local, I don't know if you guys can read it, but I was having a little chat with someone who, I like your vids, Bellalol, thanks to that person, by the way, for liking my vids. I hope you like this one. Just quick chatting in local about how that person appreciates some of the stuff I do, so that's awesome. Well, on my way back, through the system where that person is from, I say, haha, I just killed the Tengu, pretty awesome. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. They notice I'm in a pod. They say, do you want a ship? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. It'd be awesome. It'd make it way easier to fly back to Jita. There's bubbles and stuff. It'd be great. But they're like, oh, I can't find one. I'm like, that's, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I'll head back. And they're like, no, hold on. So this person undocks in a cruiser, a stabber, and ejects. Just gives it to me. So now a hostile has given me a new ship, and I'll play just a clip right now of me sitting in that ship at the station where the person who gave it to me is sitting in a Slipner and happily wishing me well as I warp off. So that is on its own weird and awesome. I mean, what other game could you get given assets that actually mean something by your enemies or someone who would have been your enemy if you hadn't had a chat with them? And not only that, but then now I warp to my outgate to head back to Jita in the cruiser, and there's enemies on the gate. There's a Harbinger and a Fed Navy Comet, so I'll start that footage now. I'm like, okay, great, I'm going to kill someone in a ship that the hostiles gave me. So I start burning off the gate, hoping the Comet's going to follow me. I'm going to kill it as I burn, and the Makariel shows up. So now the same guy has a chance to kill me twice in 5 minutes, flying 2 different ships, one of mine, one belonging probably to a friend of his who lives out here. So I start burning, the Comet starts burning with me, and I'm excited. I'm thinking I'm going to kill the comet and get away, but he actually realizes it's a bad idea and turns around and heads back to the gate. So at this point, I can just align out and warp. The Macario is still hitting me. Obviously, they have pretty long range, and burning in a straight line like that is a good way to make sure you take the maximum. But out here at 70k, it's not so bad, and I'm able to align and warp out. So, okay, so this is the last thing I want to include, is me sitting at a planet, knowing this gang is still trying to kill me, the Macario and his friends, and I've got the Macario and Harb scanned towards this gate that's on my way out. And I both want to leave, and I want to isolate that tackler. And I'm hoping the tackler's on the back side of the gate. So this is just a quick little trick to help isolate things on a gate if you can't fight the whole gang at once. I don't know where the Harb went. I think he warped off, probably to the planet I was at. But the Macario sitting here, it actually crossed my mind to try to kill the Macario. The Tengu is such a joke that I thought maybe the Macario would be a joke too. But more important, I need him to aggro me so that he can't follow me through the gate in case I'm able to jump through and engage his tackler. So I just basically lock him. Usually that's enough. I also started moving towards him. That's often enough to convince him that you're interested, and he'll aggro. And then he's stuck on this side of the gate for a full minute while I go to the other side and hopefully get a chance to kill his comet, who will try and tackle me, assuming I'm escaping. Instead, there's just this malediction on this side, and not only that, but the malediction doesn't seem interested in tackling me. He stays out at 100k the whole time. So I warp off, head back to Jita, and that is definitely, by all definitions, a very successful roam. I don't know, like the game is just so weird. You just never know what's gonna happen. You know, I played all this time, and that was a completely unique experience. So anyway, I hope you guys head out. I've gotten lots of mails this week from people that are soloing and having fun. And so anyways, good job to them. I hope maybe this inspires more of you to give it a shot. And hopefully I'm back soon with some more footage. Take it easy.